Flamingo Books. Shining English Reader. Series 6. Chapter 18. The Diamond Necklace. She was one of those pretty, charming young ladies, born, as if through an error of destiny, into a family of clerks. She had no dowry, no hopes, no means of becoming known, and getting married to a rich man. She allowed herself to marry a petty clerk in the office of the Board of Education. She suffered, for she felt she was born for all the fine, beautiful things of life. She suffered from the poverty of her apartment, the shabby walls, the worn chair, and the faded hangings. She had a rich friend, a schoolmate at the convent, whom she did not like to visit because it hurt so much when she returned to her own poor apartment. One evening her husband returned looking excited. In his hand was a beautiful envelope. "Here is something for you," he said. She quickly drew out a printed card. "The Minister of Public Instructions and Madame George Ramponneau request the honor of Monseigneur and Madame Louis T's company, Monday evening, January 18th, at the minister's residence." Instead of being delighted, as her husband had hoped, she threw the invitation on the table murmuring, "What do you suppose I want with that?" "But, my dear, I thought it would make you happy. You never go out. This is a grand occasion." She looked at him with an irritated eye and said, "What do you suppose I have to wear to such a formal party?" He had not thought of that and stammered, "Why, the dress you wear when we go to the theater. It seems very pretty to me." He felt silent, upset at the sight of his wife weeping. "Let us see, Matilda. How much would a suitable dress cost? Something simple. I cannot tell exactly, but 400 francs ought to cover it," she said. "Very well, I will give you 400 francs. The day of the ball approached and Madame Loisel seemed sad and anxious. Her husband said to her, "What is the matter with you?" And she responded, "I am upset because I don't have a jewel to adorn myself with." Then her husband cried out, "How stupid we are! Go and ask your friend Madame Forestier to lend you her jewels." The next day, she took herself to her friend's house and related her story of distress. Madame Forestier took out a large jewel case, opened it, and said, "Choose, my dear." Among the jewels she saw a superb necklace set with diamonds. She asked, in a hesitating voice, "Could you lend me this?" "Why, yes, certainly." The day of the ball arrived. Madame Loisel was a great success. She was the prettiest of all, elegant, gracious, smiling and full of gaiety. All the men noticed her, asked her name, and wished to waltz with her. She danced with enthusiasm, thinking of nothing, floating on a cloud of happiness. She and her husband left the ball at around 4 o'clock. Out in the street, they found no carriage and began to look for one. There was one in the distance. It took them as far as their door in Martyr Street. They went up to their apartment. She stood in front of the glass for a final view of herself in her glory and suddenly uttered a cry. Her necklace was not around her neck. She turned towards her husband, I no longer have Madame Forestier's necklace." And they looked in the folds of the dress, in the pockets, everywhere but did not find it. They looked at each other, utterly cast down. "It will be necessary," he said, "to write to your friend that you have broken the clasp of the necklace and that you will have it repaired. That will give us time." She wrote as he directed. At the end of a week, they had lost all hope. Loisel declared, "We must take measures to replace this jewel." They went from jeweler to jeweler seeking a necklace like the lost one. In a shop, they found a necklace of diamonds which seemed exactly like the one they had borrowed. It was valued at 40,000 francs. Loisel possessed 18,000 francs which his father had left him. He borrowed the rest. When Madame Loisel took the jewels back to Madame Forestier, the latter said in a cold tone, "You should have returned them to me sooner, for I might have needed them." Madame Loisel now knew the horrible life of bare necessity. They had to pay this frightful debt and she would pay it. They sent away the maid, they changed their lodgings. She learned the heavy cares of a household, the hateful work of a kitchen. She washed the dishes and soiled linen. The husband worked evenings and nights. This life lasted 10 years. At the end of 10 years, they had repaid all their debts. Madame Loisel now seemed old. She had become a downtrodden woman of a poor household. One Sunday, as she was taking a walk, she suddenly saw Madame Forestier. Should she speak to her? Yes, certainly. Why not? And now that she had paid, she would tell her all. She approached her. "Good morning, Jean." Her friend uttered a cry of astonishment. "Oh, my poor Matilda, how you have changed." "Yes, I have had some hard days, and all because of you." "Because of me? How is that?" "Well, I lost the diamond necklace that you loaned me. I returned another to you exactly like it. And it has taken us 10 years to pay for it." Madame Forestier took both her hands as she said, "Oh, my poor Matilda. The diamonds were false. They were not worth more than 500 francs.